Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Magnum Martel, and welcome back to another beautiful episode of Games Journalism, where today we're not just talking about games journalism, we're talking about some normal journalism by a mainstream outlet. Go figure. I have had to re-record this video no less than 3 times, because it seems like every time I finish this video, some more information comes along that I need to correct and fix it and add to it. So let's give this one more try. So, I'm sure absolutely everyone who watches my channel, as everyone on the face of the earth at this point, is probably well aware, because the mainstream media will not shut the fuck up about it. There was a shooting in Buffalo, New York, where a racist, white supremacist jackass, it actually was one this time, I guess, went to a supermarket and streamed it live on Twitch with his express intended purpose to kill people of a color he didn't like. It's tragic, it's miserable, it's the 17th, 18th time in the last year and a half that this kind of thing has happened. But of course, because they don't know what they're doing, and they have no idea how else to deal with this problem, the government, especially the government of New York, and the mainstream media would rather blame violent video games than actually do something. So, let's get right into it. Alright, now if you're not aware, the person who did the crime did live stream it on Twitch, and they have his whole manifesto available, of which they're only releasing certain pieces because they gotta form that proper narrative. You know the drill. Twitch caught what was happening within 2 minutes of the video, of it starting. That is pretty good, okay? You need to understand, Twitch is a massive platform. It's a shit platform with shit moderation, but it is a massive platform, and it is hard, especially to catch something like that when it comes to the fact that the person probably didn't have a lot of views within that time frame. And there are all kinds of clips that have been uploaded. I could easily get it for you, but I'm not going to risk my channel by showing it to you. So they caught it, and they took it down, and they shut off the stream, and they stopped it within 2 minutes of it starting. That's pretty good. That is record time, really, when it comes to that kind of thing, especially in Twitch's case. But because the platform itself was being used by the individual in question who did this, the governor of New York is blaming the platform, saying that they need to be held accountable. And as such, they are now under investigation. New York Attorney General Letitia James announced Wednesday that her office has launched an investigation into Twitch, Discord, 4chan, 8kun, previously 8chan, and other web and social media platforms in response to the racist attack in Buffalo, New York. The investigation will focus on platforms that may have been used to stream, promote, or plan the event. They've got some related links here that are not important. I'll be talking about that last one here a little bit later. James is focusing her attention on the platforms the shooter used to discuss and amplify the attack. The gunman reportedly planned his attack in a private Discord server before the shooting. In a document written by the shooter, he mentions using and getting influenced by both 4chan and 8chan, 2 known sites with a lack of moderation. As we continue to mourn and honor the lives that were stolen, we are taking serious action to investigate these companies and their roles in the attack, James said in a statement. They've got the tweets here. I'm just going to go ahead and stop the article there because there we have a lot more to cover. Alright, so let's start by talking about this. Number one, it doesn't matter that 4chan and 8chan don't have moderation. The reason they don't have moderation is because they prefer to remain like the golden age of the internet, where it was like the Wild West and anybody could just do and say whatever the fuck they wanted, and the whole point was being anonymous. Now, I have not seen the manifesto of the shooter itself, but I have seen bits and pieces, and pretty much everyone has only seen bits and pieces because they won't publish all of the writing that he had. And this is entirely my opinion. I'm absolutely certain they're doing that because they want to form the narrative. What this is it's an excuse, one, to blame these platforms for something that they had no control over. And I can't stress enough how important it is that they got his video, his live stream, taken down within 3 fucking minutes. That is record time. It is almost impossible to be that fast, and they managed to pull it off. That's huge. These websites and these platforms are so big, they can't possibly have perfect moderation. And number 2, that's what this is really about. It's about trying to force more censorship and moderation on the internet. Conspiracy theory time. I'm going to be totally honest with all of you. As a supporter of the Second Amendment who knows that video games and social media are not the cause of these problems, because this is the only country on Earth, one, that has a severe problem like this. I can't tell you how many other countries where they have gun ownership and they don't have shootings like this. But number two, we define a mass shooting as an event where 2 or more people were injured with any kind of firing weapon, even if it's a crossbow or a fucking BB gun. I firmly believe that a lot of the times these attacks are orchestrated by the government or by a specific group of individuals with the express purpose of getting more laws they want that further restricts our rights passed. Does that mean all of them are? No, absolutely not. And I know some people are going to say, that's an alt-right conspiracy! Well, seems like every other week another right-wing conspiracy is turning out to be true. That's my opinion, and I think both sides are responsible for it. Moving on. So, now to the mainstream media. The mainstream media, as always, as they have done with every single event in the history of ever, has decided, you know what? We're going to go ahead and blame the video games. So let's take a look at Fox News and a little video that they put out.
I think of, what must go through the minds of these people, like the guy yesterday who's accused of shooting up that supermarket. He's 18 years old. His whole life was in front of him, and now his life essentially is over because of what he decided to do. Do they not think about this before they open fire? Are they so wrapped up in themselves, as you say, so psychopathic that nothing else matters to them?
You'd have to have a conscience to feel that way. And so, no, there's not. It's a blind obsession. It lacks empathy. Thus, it makes them so incredibly dangerous.
I wonder, it seems like these things have gotten so much worse since video games became so realistic and so violent. Have you done research or, learned that video games tend to just desensitize people to the actual results of pulling a trigger?
I think in terms of causation, what the information shows us is that as we become more disfranchised, as individuals and groups, people leave a faith, for example, the family units become smaller or more disconnected, we live at further distances, and we're communicating through a medium that was never really intended as a human being, which is online or through texting or these kind of things. We get separated as humans to have that connection that builds, I would say, an inner morality. But all of that aside, there's things that we know that if we have areas where we congregate as in groups, we have large retail locations, we have large churches, there's things we can do in anticipation from this anomalous event, which still is rare in the US, even though it's increasing. And there's things we can proactively do to protect ourselves and protect our groups from the vulnerability of somebody like today walking into a place of worship.
Now, I gotta give kudos to the guy doing the interview here. Although I don't agree with everything he had to say, in fact, I disagree with quite a bit of it, he did the right thing by immediately taking away from the video game part. The news anchor on Fox News here had no business trying to blame violent video games. We have the research. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands of different pages and articles, thousands of different tests have been done that prove that violent video games do not cause real-world acts of violence. What this is this is the mainstream media, as always, just trying to deflect the fact that they don't have an answer, and they're trying to cause more division and panic. They're trying to blame something that is unrelated because it's all part of the plan. It's always the goddamn video game's fault. Here's my question. Why doesn't the mass media, who is constantly talking about these subjects long after they've happened, who never have anything to say about the victims, but always have something to say about the person who did it?
We have a new image of the suspected shooter.
Our first look at the suspect.
As we tell you everything we know about who did it, what kind of weapons, and why.
If you know exactly what I ripped that from, good on you. Let me know down in the comments below what you think it's from. But for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to go ahead and leave a link down in the description that you can go ahead and go to have a listen to it because, well, if you like me, I think you'll like that, and I think you'll agree with what it has to say. Anyway, the bottom line being is that what it really comes down to is that the mainstream media always tells us everything they know about the situation and what happened, while obviously fudging some details here and there. But when it comes down to it, All they do by doing this, every single time they do it, as it says in the thing that I have posted that you can go take a listen to, and I'm sure you'll all agree with, they're just inspiring another idiot to do the exact same thing. Because when it comes down to it, these people are crazy. They're going to think they're going to get their 15 minutes of fame from doing something like this. And they do, because the media talks about it. The media never has anything to say about the victims or what really happened beforehand. It's always about forming a narrative, and they're always deflecting the fact that they are the ones who are actually really responsible for all of it. I firmly believe that if the mainstream media was given a shut the fuck up order every once in a while and told to just do the story, do it once, and drop it after that, these kind of problems would change. I do. Because over the course of my life, ever since I was a kid when Columbine first happened, it's always been about blaming the Second Amendment. It's always been about blaming religious zealots. It's always been about blaming violent video games. And mind you, back in the 90s, a violent video game was not that high quality, believe me. That was back when, like, the closest thing we had for an example of what blood looked like in a video game was a pixelated splatter of red. But they never ever want to take responsibility for their own involvement or their own potential blame in the matter by constantly talking about it all the time. Every time one of these things happens, we have to have this fucking conversation. Every time one of these things happens, we have to have this discussion. Every time one of these things happens, we have to sit here and refute these massive mainstream outlets like CNN and Fox News who sit there and blame something that is completely unrelated while denying their own fucking involvement. Maybe every once in a while the mainstream media should take responsibility for potentially inspiring these fucking lunatics instead of casting the blame on harmless fucking video games. And we have concrete researched evidence that video games are not to blame. And I'm so sick and fucking tired of having to have this argument every goddamn time. As I said before, we are the only country on the face of the earth that has this problem, and I firmly believe it's because of the mass media. I firmly believe that they are trying to cause more division, and that's what they want. So they're going to keep doing it until they are held accountable. So maybe, just maybe we should worry about holding the person who actually did the fucking crime accountable. Maybe we should worry about actually looking into what this person was doing and what brought this on, rather than just believing something they had written down. Maybe we should take a look at the mainstream media who talks about it to no end all the time and always cast blame on something else. Maybe I'm just crazy. Or maybe I know better than every one of you fucking idiots in the government, law enforcement, and the media, because I don't work for you. As always, it's a tragedy that it happened, and I apologize that it took me over 2 weeks to get to this video. I haven't had a lot of time lately. It sucks, but honestly, I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm done. I'm tired of having to talk about these subjects. I don't like talking about these subjects because I'm not the type of individual that can be empathetic and go, oh, I'm so sorry for all the families. No. I'm more angry about the media than I am about the event itself. And I know that makes me sound like an asshole, but it's not like I don't care at all. I'm tired of having to argue and deflect the mainstream media all the time. And that's all I have to say about it. Thank you all for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about the mainstream media trying to blame video games yet again. And I'll see you in the next video.